Top 10 things that your real estate agent probably isn't telling you when they put the house on the market. They either don't know, don't care, or don't want to disclose to you. So by the end of this video, I think you're going to look at your transaction a little bit different. You might make different decisions, but at a minimum, you're going to be very well prepared when you put your house on the market. All right, these are the top 10 things in no particular order. Let's get into it. Number one, if you're going to give your buyer a credit for whatever reason, maybe it's a credit for termite clearance, maybe it's a credit for repairs, don't just give them a credit towards closing costs. Take the credit off the purchase price. And the reason why that's so important is because your commissions, your title fees, and some of us have escrow. So our escrow fees are based off that purchase price. If your purchase price goes down, you're paying less because the calculations are recalculated. And so you're paying less if your purchase price is less. A lot of you have some capital gains exposure. So if you take the credit off the top, guess what? You're saving a little bit on capital gains. And the reason why your realtor probably isn't telling you this is because they're going to make less. If the price goes down, their commissions go down because their commissions are based off the closed sales amount. The other reason is lenders are extremely difficult to work with. So if you are asking for a price reduction, the lenders are going to be like, oh, I don't understand. I got to redo my paperwork. The appraisal came in higher. Oh my gosh, we got to talk to the underwriter. But ultimately, it really matters what you're walking away with. So this is one area that I would say, I don't care, fight for your right. And then also make sure that your negotiations and those credits happen early in the process, because the longer you wait, the more difficult it's going to be for that lender to finalize all their estimates. Number two, all commissions are negotiable, okay? Negotiable. Now, a lot of you are like, yeah, we've been told that, Audra. But the mistake that you're making is you're signing a listing agreement or you're signing a buyer's agent agreement. And then you think now after you sign it, you negotiate. No, the negotiation happens before you sign the agreement. Now you can come up with whatever structure you want. The agent doesn't have to agree to it. So you can say, hey, listen, I don't want any of this commission stuff. I just need to know what I'm paying you. So I want to come up with a flat fee, whatever that may be. I'm going to incentivize you that if you get above a certain price, I'm going to give you a little extra more commission. Or if you go below a certain price, I'm going to give you less. Or you can do it on a, hey, if it's a 30-day, we're going to give you this. Or if it's 60 days and after, I'm going to give you a different bonus structure. You can come up with whatever you want. Whatever you decide, you put it in that listing agreement and then you sign it. You don't all of a sudden get an offer in and start negotiating with your listing agent, because at that point in time, when you sign that listing agreement, there is a legal binding agreement and it's set. They don't have to negotiate with you. Hope you understand how important that is. Same thing with those buyer's agents. You guys are like, oh, I'll just sign it. And then you go to present an offer and now things are being negotiated and you're like, what did I just get myself into? So remember, the important conversations and the negotiations with your agent needs to happen before you sign that contract. And every detail of what you're discussing needs to be written in the contract. Number three is the agent tells you that they are the neighborhood expert, but they fail to tell you they've never sold a home in that area, or they've never even sold a home, okay? I have lost a listing this week because this other agent came in and starts telling them all about the neighborhood because he lives in the neighborhood, but he's never sold a single property. So just understand, just because someone knows your neighborhood may not be the right agent for you. When you are going under contract, you want someone that knows that contract forward and backwards. You want someone that understands what's customary and not customary. They need to be able to hold the line. So when you are interviewing listing agents or even buyer's agents, you need to make sure they have the experience to represent you. Because really what you want is you want the agent that's going to hold the line, that's going to protect you, and one that's going to get top dollar for you. Just because you know the neighborhood doesn't mean that you're the best one for the job. Your neighbor probably knows more about the neighborhood than the agent that you're going to hire. Just be very, very cautious who you hire and make sure they have the experience. It's so dang important. By the way, if you're looking for agents to interview, I always recommend interviewing at least 2 or 3. I do have a referral network right here. We refer agents all across the nation, and we have some very happy YouTube followers that have taken advantage of the service, and they're so grateful. So it's a free service to you, no obligation, always good to get a second or third opinion. Number 4, most agents aren't going to tell you this, but they don't want to be the first agent in with a difficult seller. What they'd rather be is second or third agent in, because it takes a while for unrealistic sellers to realize what the market value is on their home. Oh my gosh, this just happened to me and it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. So I took a listing that I really wanted. It was a competitive situation. I was competing against my top competition, and I just really wanted the deal. I really, really liked the sellers. It was in my local area, and it was a house that I really felt I could sell. However, I knew I was dealing with difficult sellers. I know they were overpriced, and I figured the market would eventually get them down to where it was reasonable. And I thought I did a really good job with preparing their expectations, but apparently not. So after 4 months of marketing it, after doing 30 open houses and getting 150 people through the open houses, oh, so painful, they decided to cancel the listing and repackage it in the springtime with the promise that they were going to use me. I'm like, great, no problem. Next thing I know, you know how the story's going to end. They list with my competition, and my competition gets the house under contract in 1 week for the price that I told them that they should sell their home at. That's called pain. So when you are going to be a difficult seller, understand you might have agents that aren't really happy about listing with you because they have already been through the situation I just explained, I just went through. So the best thing you can do as a seller, I'm serious about this, is really get a strategic plan on what plan A is and what plan B is. Plan A is, this is what I want, this is what we're going to try, but what happens if you don't get that in 30 days, meaning your price and your terms? What's plan B? And you don't want an agent that's really good not representing you. Like me. Number 5, your agent's not going to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you this. And that is marketing is really important, but it's not the number one thing that sells your home. What are you in the process right now of interviewing agents and they come in there, look at my marketing plan and my strategy and look at my pretty pictures. And we have this soft marketing plan where we market out to our agents in our office and we can get some insight and and they show these pretty graphics. Marketing schmarketing, okay? What's going to sell your house is price and condition of your home. I just got done telling you that I could not sell a home in 4 months, and there's no one, in my opinion, in my area that has better marketing than Audra Lambert. And that's because I spent a whole bunch of money on it. I spend a lot of time making sure that I'm targeting the right areas. I have 2 full-time marketing staff on my team, marketing my listings, and I wasn't able to sell a house in 4 months. So I tell you that because the 2 things that are going to help you sell your house: presentation. So you need to get your house all organized, get it all tidied up. And the second thing is you want to make sure you price it right. Okay. Those are the top 2 reasons why someone's going to buy your house: condition and price. I'm not saying that marketing doesn't matter. I'm just saying it's not the solution to your problem if you have bad price or a bad condition home. Okay. So anyway, for those of you who are considering selling their home, I do have a resource guide. It goes over paint colors, questions to ask the agent, staging checklist, a home inspection checklist, lighting accents, what flooring to pick. It's all linked down here below, free to you. Number 6 is inexperienced agents aren't probably going to come and tell you straight out, like, hey, by the way, I've never sold a house before and I really love the opportunity. More than likely, they're not going to do that. They're going to come in and show some of the broker closed sales and, oh yeah, they're trying to make themselves look bigger than they are. I feel for the newer agents out there. It's hard. It's super hard. But to be honest, the mistakes that those newer agents make only costs the seller. So if you are hiring an agent, do some due diligence, make sure they have the experience, because more than likely the house that you're selling is one of your bigger assets and you need to have the proper representation. And what you don't know as a buyer or even a seller is that when we get an offer that comes in, we're always looking up the other agent. How many sales have they had? What's their experience? And if they're inexperienced, we know we can just run the show, or we're like, oh, we don't want to accept the offer because they're not going to have a great deal of respect or know how to guide their buyers or their sellers. So understand, even us agents are out there trying to figure out who we're working with. And if you're represented by someone that's not very experienced or maybe has a bad track record, it's hurting you. It's hurting you. This is super important. Spend time finding the right agent. Number 7, most agents aren't going to give you honest feedback for a couple of reasons. Number 1, they don't want to hurt your feelings. Or number 2, they flat out just don't know. So I'm serious. I can't tell you how many agents that just don't follow up. I deal with buyers and I never get an agent calling me saying, hey, what's the feedback on the showing? I mean, rarely. Why are they not asking me feedback? On my team, we literally chase down every buyer, any agent that comes through any of our open houses or any of our showings. We track all the information. We never want our homeowner to think as if we're not following up and we're not giving the proper feedback. In my book, feedback's a gift. So if you're selling your home, you have to be open to negative feedback. So please give your agent the permission to give feedback and also set the expectation that you want feedback and follow up on every single showing and everyone who came through an open house. because with feedback, you can make the proper decisions if there's any adjustment or alterations you have to make. Number 8 is most agents aren't going to tell you the ratio of how many buyers they represent versus how many sellers they represent. And if you're listing your home, you want somebody who specializes in listing homes. Super important. It's a totally different skill set. You've got to have a relationship with the photographer. They need to have the experience on how to set the property up properly. It's just a whole different skill set. So I want you, if you are selling your home and you're working with some agents, I want you to ask them, hey, can you give me a list of some homes that you've actually listed? I want you to look them up online, meaning the properties they've sold, and see if they have the proper pictures. Read their property description. Read their details. Is it a really nice listing online? And if you are looking to sell your house, I want you to really pay attention to this. A buyer's agent may not have that experience, okay? On my team, you're either a buyer's agent or you're a listing agent. Now, I've been around for years, so I can do both. I've had 23 years of doing it. So most of the agents out there aren't in the business for 23 plus years and can do both. So make sure you're hiring the best listing agent you can find out there to market and position and give you guidance when you put your house on the market. Number 9, most agents out there don't have a lot of design sense or skill. They're just agents, okay? We don't go to staging school or how to prep a house school. That's not what we do. Now, of course, I've had my own interior design business. I have my own staging business, and I'm just wonderful. I'm sort of kidding. But my point, though, is you can't expect the agent to come in and give you design advice. Now, I have a bunch of videos on staging. I should probably update those. But look online, because more than likely, the agent will tell you they know what they're doing, but they don't. There's very few people in this world that I think have a great sense for designing and staging a home. And that's why they hire professionals to come out and stage your home, because that's not what they're hired to do. They're hired to sell your home. So if you are interviewing agents, some do have kind of a design flair, some don't, but it is a question that I want you to ask them in your interview process. Once again, look at past photos, see if they have that design skill. Is there a plunger in the toilet? Is the toilet seat up when they're taking pictures? Are the beds well made? Are there cars parked on the driveway when they're taking photos? A lot of agents don't even know that that's not good. So you can ask them, they're probably going to say yes, but it's your job to validate that. For those of you who have been patiently watching this video till the end, you're probably wondering about my brooch. By the way, this is Eisenberg, for those that know. And the reason why I'm wearing it is because I was watching a fashion show and they said, hey, brooches are coming back. And more those heirloom pieces. And usually when we see that in fashion, we see it come into interior design as well. And no, we're not going to go put brooches on our couches, but heirloom products, things that have meaning, something that has history. I think we're going to see a lot more of that coming in 2026. Number 10, your agent probably isn't going to be honest about open houses. So I'm going to be honest with you right now. You ready? I hate open houses. I hate it. A lot of you think all agents have this DNA in them that they just love open houses and wasting their weekends talking to randos at your open house. Oh my gosh. I do not love open houses. I just want to slap those kids along the side of the head and say, stop touching things and stop jumping on the beds. But here's the reason why I do it. I do it because it's beneficial. So there are certain listings that I know will generate a lot of activity. And I like to get as many people through a property at one time, so it creates a little bit of urgency and interest. Now, if I have a $20 million listing, am I going to do an open house? Oh, heck no. I'm going to do private showings. There's no way, there's going to be 100 people wanting to buy a $20 million house. They just can't afford it, right? I can't afford it. But if I have a property that's out in the countryside or in a rural area, am I going to have an open house? Probably not. However, if I do have a property that's going to generate a lot of interest, I like to do open houses twice a month. And you have to realize there's a big shift in the buyer market right now where most buyers don't want to deal with a buyer-broker agreement. They don't want to be locked in with a buyer. So they're going unrepresented to some of these open houses. So understand there's a little bit of shift. I wouldn't say no, and I would rely heavily on your agent that you choose to give you some direction in that. Every area is different. Okay, I have to go set up for an open house. I'm gonna go sweat it out, get all dirty, and meet randos right now. I'm excited. Woo, let's put on a good attitude. I'm serious, so I actually do like doing open houses once I'm there. But anyway, if you wouldn't mind subscribing to this channel, and please let me know what other things that I didn't mention in this video. What are things that you think agents aren't telling you when you're going to put your house on the market? All right, thanks so much for watching this video. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next video.